If it is hidden, it is the flower. Hidden in these vast but unassuming grasslands dwell tiny, astonishing flowers. Year after year, the humble wild grass known as side oats grama produces unique flowers, such as this striking orange bell-shaped blossom. Dangling in the wind, these flowers envelop their secret seed heads, suspended horizontally like minuscule brushes from the tip of each stem. They use the wind for pollination across the sweeping grasslands. We humans are from nature also. We too harbor our own unique hidden flowers. When and where do we bloom? And why? As we explore these secrets, we begin to witness the harmonious intertwining of nature and humanity, richly endowed with wisdom.
So one of my aspirations is to promote the role of art and creativity in problem solving so that we can imagine what's possible and make a difference in the world. Accordingly, I have been teaching the course called Social Artistry Through Co-Creation at SFU Continuing Studies. Zeomi, the original practitioner of Japanese no theater in the 14th century, cryptically said, "It is hidden, it is flower." This was in his book on drama called Kadensho, in English, The Flowering Spirit. He sees the flower as vital. But why is he so interested in this metaphor? Did he see some resonance between the way flowers propagate and the way we nurture meaningful relationship with our surroundings? Through this film, we hope to explore this link, as it may reveal some key to human flourishing. And in teaching my co-creation course, I pursue the same goals.
So it's the CCS, the Continuing Studies Group. Okay, our Continuing Studies Group is a little bit of magic that happened when we met at the SFU class that Keiko was holding. And for some reason, a few of us started to go out after the class. And then one day, I think we were out for coffee, and it was 2 hours after class that we were talking. And it wasn't just about art or what we were hoping to do. I think we were just finding out about each other.
It's a group of people, I think above 50, 55. And they have life experience, and are interested in creating, opening art in their own lives and share it with others.
And I think we are all looking for a space where we can explore our own identities to some extent, and also to look at various forms of artistic creation that we're involved in and how we can support each other.
We have creative ways of looking at how to how to share it with different people and get ideas from different people. I just find it interestingly stimulating.
And part of what I think is so great about it is I feel like there's a diversity of people in terms of backgrounds and perspectives. It gives an opportunity to all of us to learn something.
Stories are what motivate me. And so I loved being in a classroom full of many people who had a similar kind of story of wanting to recapture their creativity on some level that they may have had earlier or that they may have gotten distracted from. And that was one of the takeaways from the class that I found was really powerful.
We continue being ourselves, and the freedom and the ideas and the sharing, and I really enjoy it, and it helps us in our own way how to decide things. It happens to me, so I hope for the rest of the group too, and I think so because they are very enthusiastic. And with your support, that's the most important.
Zeami tried to see human life as it is. He saw human suffering as an inevitable process we all undergo as we reach understanding. Then what challenges lie ahead?
I really struggled for 20 years. I tried to be the Trojan horse inside of my company and work environment, and to change or to contribute to human economy.
And honestly, I spent a lot of years with, the typical concerns of a mid-career person that you take home with you at night, that you wake up at 3 a.m. and you have concerns about, things at the office and those kind of things. And it's not that those didn't help build character, but I wouldn't have spent so many years in that world.
There is a need of the feelings. If there is no feeling in the human beings, that's what all these things are happening from my point of view. Like the family, the children, the adults, they get lost, they live in the street, they go looking for something because there is no connection in the family. That's my personal.
The one thing that bothers me or disturbs me is to think that people feel like they're alone. I mean, I think that just, it hurts me. And to think of older people that are like that, and making me realize that I think it's hard for people to ask for help if they want it.
One of the things that struck me immediately when I moved here, which was 1978, when I lived in Montreal, and even in the visits that I would make to Toronto every now and then, it's much easier to connect with people than it seems to be here. And it's not that I'm pessimistic about the future, but I realized that things that I have said that I wanted to do with my life, I've done a certain amount of them, but not anywhere near as much as I intended to do. So, to steal the expression, now is the time. If I don't do it now, when am I going to do it?
It's hard to find who we are. I think it's because it's never taught. It's not valued as we're growing up. I think Vancouver is, funnily enough, a difficult city to make friends in. And I don't know why that is, because there's so many people that I've met here that are not from here. But I think what happens is that we just get stuck in our own lives. You live in your own bubble. You don't really think about the bigger world. And I don't know, or your community, and I don't know if that's because of the stresses in our lives.
Speaking for myself, I always have a feeling of not quite belonging. I didn't belong in West Africa. I look very different than everybody else. I didn't really belong in Quebec. I didn't really belong in South America. And I come back to Canada, and because I have different reactions to so many other things than the typical Canadian from the prairie provinces, everybody was very similar. So we didn't really have questions of belonging or what our identity is. I think that might be different for a lot of new Canadians who have born somewhere else, come to Canada. Am I Japanese, am I Canadian, or am I both, or what's the relationship? Am I Mexican or Canadian or both, or how does that fit? We never had those kinds of questions growing up as children, as kind of fourth or fifth generation Canadians in very homogeneous kind of communities.
Mezalashki means novelty, implying that the flower is something new. We are then adding new stories to the human repertoire as part of flourishing, akin to the joy we feel from contemplating a flower.
Is a feeling, a disconnection of feelings that I start noticing with the years, especially in the past maybe 10 years, So now I had the idea for the intergenerational groups, but with the school children with seniors, because I work with children for so long. I always keep in the back of my mind how to bring them in a way together. When I took the course with Keiko and with the artistry, I saw the course and the meaning of the course, because I have been completely deep in my work of creativity and arts. I always like art besides other things, and with the children. And I have so many projects that I wanted to do myself, fulfill myself, that I'm good. Like I do, weaving is one thing, but I do silk painting or glass painting. There are little things that I'm really good at those. And I was thinking, now I'm retired, what I'm going to do. So when I saw the course, I said, I have to clarify, my mind and see what is my purpose, working with children more, no, working for me, what I have, and things that I haven't been able to do myself. So it came up, this paper weaving, because it's easier, it's not difficult. You can do straight lines if you like, straight lines, okay. Or you can make weaving lines, and then after you have this, then you choose your papers to weave. So you can do anything, because you will be surprised when you finish all the shapes that you make. You see how it comes, all the like this.
What are you doing? I'm not seeing.
Look.
Cinema, this is the film world,
I hadn't even thought of it that way, to be honest, but that's interesting.
Right away.
Yeah. In my mind it started out as, okay, the world is often seen as black and white, but in reality there's shades of gray, so that's where I started to pencil it in. And then I thought, well, yeah, but there are different shades of gray, so I did different squiggles. And then it was like, oh, and how many people really live their lives according to the recognition that life is full of gray? People, I think, often want to be certain about, this is the way one should live, or I want to live, and all that sort of thing. And so I need to put a few people in there.
Amazing.
I just wanted to make it organic and three-dimensional, if I could. But also, I tend to, for myself, get caught up in being too perfectionist and not wanting to start. And so it was really enjoyable to be so focused on something fun like this and not knowing where it was going. I didn't have an idea of how it was going to end up, but I just knew that I wanted it to be a little looser, and I was just going to challenge myself to not worry about making it perfect.
Good. It's a good thing. I like the idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank
Great.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you to you, because you did a very beautiful work. And thanks, Keiko.
Oh, thank you.
Everybody responded to their own feelings and their own imagination, and they create what they really felt like doing it, and they will feel free to do it. And just to tell them at the beginning, to teach the dynamics, or how to use the tools and papers and things, and the rest it flow like a river, like a water. The inspiration came from putting the older generation and the younger generation together, to be able to to share and to exchange things, knowledge, that so the younger people don't grow up feeling like, those are older people. They forget that, they don't, aside, they are old, they are not anymore useful and whatever. So that's my main thing. Maybe because I'm getting older and I don't have children. So that's why I work with children. I myself really devoted to them because I want, to grow up with some kind of feelings, values, or good feelings. This project can be an adventure. Just let them go and see what happens at the end.
Next stop.
So she's still wondering. Okay. Did you have a good time? Yeah, I came to visit the senior center that they have. So today is just to meet them and to know what they would like to do, and if possible, the idea of having a intergenerational activity with the seniors and the kids. But we'll see. We can learn from each other maybe. So Mickey. Well, I work with school children for 21 years, and I retired last year. Yeah. So mainly it was in arts for after school programs. So I'm trying to put together a project with a community center who has seniors program.
So what you would like to teach kids or seniors?
Because it's not like I want to teach, I want to put them together.
Oh yeah.
Because
That's organizing
because
with a project or something.
well, because I noticed during the last years of my job, I noticed that children, young people are there, seniors are there. Like people forget about seniors, It's like, and children do technology and blah, blah, all this. So now seniors have so much to give.
My grandson, he's like 15 now. He's older. He knows more about politics, what's going on in the world, more than his father. And father has a message.
You see,
But you know why though?
there's a connection.
No, this is making them do it.
But,
Because senior will be surprised how much they know.
yeah, but what about the feelings?
I felt as a senior, we don't know enough about modern technology. And that's a drag for the seniors.
I think it's not maybe it's not that's my point. That's not the parents. It's the technology that is becoming in the middle. So the gap separated.
Yeah, but I am asking, who should learn this? Should the kids teach you, or should seniors step up and learn themselves?
No, I think everybody should be able to learn, but not in a massive way, like not all the time in the phones, but to have a balance between feelings and technology, human contact.
Well, that's important. You should never let go of the human contact and feel. That's more important, actually.
Yeah.
But I'm finding more and more, if you want to work with a younger generation, seniors that is, you must have this and you gotta know as much as they know. Otherwise, they are way ahead of the game. And the senior because you'll be surprised how much they know, because they can all look it up. And adults think we know everything. We don't. They know more than us. But the teenagers. That we don't recognize that as seniors. We don't recognize it because it never has been like that. But it is true though right now. So The senior must step up.
Yeah, but what about using that as a tool? Yeah, as a tool, and then use your memory, your brain to develop the knowledge, to think, to create, and then have this as a tool for communication or for learning news, but not to depend on this.
I'm learning that it isn't a memory nowadays. If you know how to get at a question through this machine, you're way ahead of the game than what you got in memory. Because this has more memory power than you could ever put together here already. And I know that now. And we have to recognize that as such. So I said, there is no difference between smart person.
You have to
and
balance.
not smart.
Balance, because if someday this doesn't work, what are you going to do?
No, if this doesn't work, whole economy, whole thing will stop. If you know how to utilize this, smart guy is not really smart because guy can get answer from here anytime, same answer he can get. For the younger generation to be advancing, it's a different world. I say they have, I'm sure younger people are really thinking, what are you going to do? You know, everything becomes so easy, advanced. It's a human is not really good for not much of anything.
I know, but you know, younger people are going to be very dependent on this, and they cannot think. So then another problem comes up, and then you're going to Google, and no battery in your phone, and you're stuck, and then you cannot do anything because you don't know how to solve the problem.
I think fundamental should be done.
You see?
Fundamental. And I always think, what is, for myself, what is the most important thing that seniors should teach younger generation?
Yeah.
It's the fundamental. It's a natural thing.
Yes, that's
This
right.
thing has to be taught.
Yeah.
Because if anything happens, that's the way you have to go. Kind of, as I mentioned, I always have been thinking how we can bring community together, meaning this multi-ethnic community together. Not only multi-ethnic, even within Japanese community, even maybe with your ethnic group community, not everybody getting along. You probably have a similar problem. Every, I think, ethnic group have the same problem. New generation coming, old generation has been here, sometimes can't get along together, but they're from the same country. That is, I think, not really a big problem, but we could do better. And that's where I want to work in, so that this within the ethnic group, you are really community, really in community. It's easy to say, but all of us have independent ideas. We all come from different backgrounds. Some people are rich to begin with, some people are very poor. So idea does not always come together. Explain what I see. Maybe I could do something. That's why I'm here, to do something.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your time and your ideas.
Idea what? Come dance with me, right?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Thank you. Okay. Have a nice day.
You too.
Okay, bye. Yeah, he has a very good point. So,
Yeah, he knows the community very well.
yeah.
Pen, can I? Thank you.
And thank you, Keiko.
Okay, you're like a movie star.
I don't know. I'm afraid of that. I don't know. I never like public life.
But your project is wonderful.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying. I'm getting close to the one in with the school in Kerrisdale.
Nice.
But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, let me know how we can help because I know you're also doing.
Yeah. He said, I asked him, what kind of activities do you think they...
Oh, but he's a guy.
I know. He says, I like dancing.
That's right. That's right. He likes dance. Think about it. Yeah.
He's more interested in technology, the computers and the mind.
Because that's the most popular activity there. Because you saw a few people sitting down with the computer.
Yeah, as long as the technology is balanced.
Yeah.
And don't take over.
Right.
The other part is good as a tool.
Right.
But we have to get the brain going on, creativity, feelings, you know. So he agreed. Okay. So
thank you for
and
coming.
then thank you, Keiko. Thank you for your time. And
no,
we
no
talk.
problem.
Okay. Oh, this is. I no more.
Lucy, I have good news.
Okay.
Just hold on.
Good news.
Yes. So last night, we had Callisto Community Center board meeting. The motion to support your intergenerational art engagement starting October has been passed. Yes.
Thank you, Keiko. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So happy.
Oh my goodness, I really appreciate it.
This is all you, Lucy. Without your passion, your dedication, this wouldn't happen. Moment that I met you through class and you express your intergenerational connections that you like to, forge. This is something that I also very much care about too. Coming from my own culture, I raised by my grandmother, and this is something that I so embrace.
Oh, Keiko, that would be so nice. Oh, that would be good if it goes well. Maybe we can continue next year. If I don't, maybe someone else can continue. But it's just a seed, to plant a seed.
It's quite a coincidence that I started attending our social artistry group during the time when I was still working as a lawyer in a IT company. I already knew that this kind of work was too one-sided and that I wanted to open my life for other activities. And during our last session, last week of this course, after having been 15 years with my company, I quit. There were certain trigger points, but they motivated me to say, okay, it's now the time for me to go. We have only so much time. And so it is so important to start with a group that can afford the time, making the time for it. And then we can find and identify projects to integrate in daily life. Somebody has an idea. It does not yet have colors in all areas, but there is a pencil line here, a pencil line here. And this is already so interesting, this process now. How can we listen to each other to help an idea getting into form? So maybe just to summarize, or to reflect, who recalls the question of this exercise?
Does it to do with ourselves in the world and our bubble or something like that? Or who surrounds us?
Who are you communicate with, or who are you talking with?
Exactly. How are you related to others?
Yeah.
John, can you just help us to recall what you painted?
For me, what I got from the question, from Kiko's question, was question of identity. I said, what is your identity? I'm in kind of an unusual spot. I was born here, but I don't feel that I belong here.
Oh yeah, I remember you talked about
Other people have come from other places and developed a sense of belonging here. And I feel I don't belong here. I didn't know what to draw. So all of a sudden I just drew two circles. And I feel that my own identity is split. Part of me is in Canada, part of me is in other places, mostly Latin America, and many times I feel actually most at home, quote unquote, in other places than here. Why is that? I don't know. But so I just felt that I was split, and so I drew these two circles. And for me, the issue is, can I bring these two circles together in some kind of way? I don't know. That's the existential question, I guess, for me. Even within Canada, we are essentially split, at least in two parts. There's English Canada and French Canada. And I spent some time, I did my postgraduate degree in Quebec. I speak French, and I actually relate more to French-Canadian culture than to quote-unquote English-Canadian culture, if there is such a thing. You know, I say, what is English-Canadian culture? I'm English-Canadian, I don't know what that is. There's a group of 7, there's, you know, but what is Canadian culture? I don't know. So I feel that within Canada we're also split. There's one major split, which is English Canada and French Canada, and those two, the novel is Two Solitudes. Those two solitudes really never speak. English Canadians don't understand French Canada, and a lot of French Canadians don't understand English Canada.
But this was very much striking us, I think. This honest description of the situation that you felt, yeah, during the course was really very touching, not only, I think, my heart. At the moment, just to recall, yeah, I had the impetus. I wanted to help somehow to take a little bit of this pain or to share the pain a bit. Although I was painting something totally different. And but I related so much to this because I could see that I believe in myself, but also for sure in everybody's human heart, you would find separated islands in one or the other way. And the big question, can I bring those ones together before I die? Yeah? Will I manage to bring them, to unite them? In the moment when you were asking this question, Keiko, after our identity, I was thinking, I had the association, my life and my interaction with people my life is all these circles, like the aging circles of a tree. And the interactions, they are all the dotted points in between. So this is how close I am connected to everything. It permeates my life somehow. This was the background. The last session, then Eunice, you sent me this email. I remember this picture of yours and I really loved it. And I was thinking, that's nice, yeah. And then I was cutting the tree. And last time I was gifting you reflection of this painting. And today I want to give something to John, because I found this wood and it reminded me of your picture. And then I was polishing it a little bit and oiling it, and it shows these islands, yeah, but also the connection, yeah. And so it's nothing big. It's just I just wanted to thank you because it's just this interaction, and not big thing, but I love this interaction. What I wanted, in fact, to discuss briefly today is the overall theme or the overall objective of our group.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have a plan or do you hope for a certain learning process?
I'm observing as a member. You know, it's not like if one person leading, then won't be a co-creation. What are the things that we are actually subconsciously practicing that are really important element, the dimension of co-creation. So yeah, I'm really keenly observing that. The charting evolution.
Okay, so we can discuss more about the IDG and UN talk. It reminds me of one of our artistry works where we made collage.
Yes.
And that was Sharon who made this frame and she was looking out of the window. So I think of us being in this community practice, and we look out of the window of
Exactly.
the IDG, you know, and then what we see will have also an impact on us, but we are not obliged to step out and do the same. I wanted to start with you in the small round, only in our dialogue, with my background, why I'm doing this and why I do find this interesting. I feel that within the documentary of our community, of our practice, I have also my own development. And I feel as if I was now experiencing something that might be of importance and that I might be able to summarize at a certain point later to give an example for other people. Because working 15 years as a lawyer in international business and then quitting without having a concrete idea, what is the next step? I would think some people think it's stupid, even go without remuneration of my company. I thought it's the next step, I must do it. Just I move one step after the other. I just concentrate today on presenting this IDG subject. But I'm grateful that I can release my brain a little bit by sharing my concerns. And then also I want to share that in February, when we had our artistry seminar, there was one homework, and the homework was to answer the question, the issue I am deeply caring about and trying to address. This was 3 months before I terminated my job. And I was writing down, contribute to save nature, help others to develop a beautiful life full of hope, create beauty, opening a path for a new economical behavior, and weaving a network that is peace itself. Nothing about law, nothing about my profession.
Yeah.
There is nothing that is clearly oriented to one profession. And this is what confuses me. I know I have a certain teaching attitude. I love to give seminars, yeah. I have a certain counseling attitude, maybe.
Oh, very organized.
And organized, yeah. But what profession? So luckily, I gave myself 1 year to find out. So I'm not rushed to press all these wishes in one profession. What I identified as one of our key critical issues in our society is lack of time. And I bought myself time. I was thinking of the background of this IDG. They tried to identify what is missing to establish the UN sustainability goals. So the broadest task that you can ask yourself to fulfill.
Okay, so I give them.
It's always 3 pages. Inner development goals, what's that? I got this idea to have a look at this initiative. They noticed that the UN sustainability goals and the UN Agenda 2030 is existing, but it's not really progressing. I'm not talking about sustainability today, but it is the background of this Swedish initiative for inner development, because those people were thinking, why don't we make progress? And very surprisingly, they found out it is the human being. The human being is the blockage. Yeah, so good. So you see on the first page the 5 categories, and I thought that we will now, each of you, read one after the other what the text for these description of the skills, and the one who reads it, please tell us what you think about this skill or this quality. How is it anchored in your life? Does it move you? Pick 5.
Okay.
And also, the task is our group. Which 5 of those skills, qualities, do you think are most important for the development of our group? Good. I would now like you to share your number 1 skill and quality. What is yours, Keiko?
Sense making.
Sense making is your number 1. Why?
It is probably the most crucial skills to me, actually, as it is about finding beauty in a mundane place and finding meaning.
I thought for me, the number one thing that I think to get any group moving or successfully is long-term orientation and visioning.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a goal. It's working towards a goal together, and you're building a community. You have a sense of what you're doing.
I picked connectedness because I think if we sit in our own little isolated world, what are we going to solve? What are we going to create? What are we going to, what meaning is there?
For me, number 1 was presence. Creativity, in my idea, comes only through the being presence. You cannot create with your thinking about past or future. It's just when you are in the presence, it will go through you, and it will help lots of other things be solved. Last week, I was feeling kind of loneliness. So it is what you talked about. You are isolated in island. It's you, inner you, and you have just reflection of yourself, nothing else. You are not, it's kind of, it's, so it can be sometime connecting to the feelings, make something.
One of the things that struck me most in our presentations on the last day was Robert. At one point he said, "We write our pain." And I put up my hand and I said, yeah, and we also paint our pain. And he went, "Oh, really?" My top one of all was the critical thinking. My reason for that is if our goal as a group and as a society and even as a species is sustainability, is to survive.
So I'm really curious to see what we will create and how we will define these intermediate milestones. I'm really astonished what is already creating in this moment. Yeah, I'm a little bit touched because I was dreaming so many years of finding a way to contribute to the betterment of humankind. This is really my life purpose.
The whole the process of talking about it with other people, sort of thinking that I was going to do it about, the topic I landed up doing about it was death, because I was like, oh my God, that's going to be like a morbid topic. Is that going to be, but the whole fact that, I discussed it and actually brought it up with people and discovered that I guess it was the feedback that I got, that it was like, that's good. And then I would go away and I would think about it and I would sort of do a little bit of research online about it, try to decide. Even once I sort of picked a topic, I didn't know what direction I was going to go with it. But again, it was the positive feedback. So I think really, and the engagement. And I think that again, we can get so much more out of ideas and with discussing with other people and doing things in our own little bubble, which again is the whole idea of this social artistry through co-creation. I guess because it's like such a fascinating experience for me to be able to have other people have that same experience would be awesome. And I think if somebody's passionate and excited about what they're doing, other people are going to be curious. I'm more willing to go with the flow or not go with what everybody else thinks or wants.
When you do it, then you make the lines this way, shorted, but then anyway, any size.
Can you do it on the diagonal?
Diagonal.
Perfectionist.
You break the rules.
She always breaks.
Yeah.
I think Sifi is that type.
Yeah.
Can I do it diagonal?
Yes, now you're combining it.
It's more than okay. That's perfect. I like it.
Next.
Well, okay.
Is this way or
Let's see.
this way?
You know what? It can be any way. How does that sound? I kind of wanted to be a bit random with it, to be honest. And then sort of, because life, you have to if you can't go with the flow, and you don't know how things are going to turn out, you can't predict. I just thought I would sort of do that the same way. But then I couldn't help it, want to have some sort of balance. But, yeah, so that's just kind of my... life is who knows what.
I love that you break the rules. You combine the all cuts direction, which no one thought that we could at that moment. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm a little rebellious-ish.
Yeah.
I don't like doing things the way everybody else does, so I guess.
Well done.
As long as you are happy.
Trend, I guess, in life.
I like the word random weaving, the randomness of it.
Yeah.
Like, as I say, I'm going to bring it again back to the group that we've got. And I think probably just because I feel so comfortable with everybody that, I've discovered that how comfortable I can feel within myself and what I've learned about myself, I guess discover that I can be sort of more inspired by things than I might have thought before. The one thing that bothers me or disturbs me is to think that people feel like they're alone. I mean, I think that's... really, it does. It just hurts me. And to think of older people that are like that. And yeah, recognizing my own sort of prejudice about that, for sure. Because I was with my parents, I moved in with them because when COVID hit and I realized my dad couldn't go out, so my mom is already isolated because Parkinson and in a wheelchair and can't talk. And so sadly, she was so isolated that getting her out of the house was next to impossible. I sort of stayed there a little bit at first. I sort of decided, I made a conscious effort to engage with him because otherwise he's gonna feel really alone and probably too proud to ask for, and this is making me realize that I think it's hard for people to ask for help if they want it. Or maybe they don't even realize that they want it. As I said, he wouldn't have asked for it. When I would first go over and just have dinner or whatever, I could see how hard it was to be on his own with such a challenging situation.
What skills do you need in this sometimes uncomfortable daily life with your family?
Avoidance.
Does anybody feel comfortable to share her number one? Alison.
It's funny that this is hard for me to talk about. I wasn't expecting it. Which is contrary to what my initial comment of the most important thing is connectedness. It's just that at the moment, I kind of like avoiding my family, my whole family. And I think that therefore what I'm going to pick is
more self-reflection needed on that. I just don't feel as if I want to make the effort to, I don't know, it's...
Allison?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a hard one to talk about right now, to be honest.
Is it because you recently lost both your parents? And I'm really sorry for that loss.
Maybe it's because it's kind of brought it more to the forefront than I think that I realized. It brought up a lot of stuff in the whole system. To be honest, like the whole it was a very challenging situation, and I think I'm still trying to make sense of it and heal from it, and I haven't quite figured out how to move forward with it. And I think maybe it's almost easier for me to keep myself
Just cry.
perspective
You
on
don't
it.
have to chat with us. Yes, just let it out.
But I don't like, it's, wow. Yeah, wow. I even have their dates written on my arm here when they died, because I still want that connection. And maybe that's why I chose connectedness, because...
Yeah, it makes sense. That was a big open up. That was good. You did that.
Yeah.
Okay, we are here for that.
Thanks, Ella. This was so uplifting. We're here for you, Allison.
Yeah.
Thank you for your courage.
I think the whole relationship to self is what I need to work on the most to be able to.
And I think I felt that we have a good environment here. We have already articulated that we have this safe space, and I feel that we have this attitude. So I really believe that this is the kind of conversation that is already in a development. We are not only talking about inner development. It is already happening.
Well, I wasn't expecting that, but thank you for... Yeah.
We're here for that.
Yes.
Yeah, we are here for that, aren't we?
Thanks.
So I'm a first-generation Chinese Canadian. My parents came here separately after World War II and then met when they were in high school. But they came after a period of Asian exclusion and a lot of racism. My mom wanted us to learn English. She wanted us to be very Canadian so we wouldn't face the racism that they did growing up. But I think in some ways I've always didn't really know how Chinese I was versus how Canadian I was. And this has always been sort of a conflict in my life because I've had people say, well, you're not Chinese enough. But I would never be accepted as a full Canadian I was growing up because you just have to look at me. So the project that I'm working on now, I guess the bigger question is, am I racist? And so I'm using sort of stereotype images of objects and objectifying what they are. So the coolie hat, the slanted eyes, the yellow peril. I guess stereotype images of my parents' generation of what maybe the 1930s to the 50s of what an Asian character is, or what you would imagine an Asian person is. To me, a slanty eye isn't racist because I have slanted eyes. So I went to Value Village and I started looking all over, and I went to the knick-knack section. I was holding up images. There was a lot of Chinese images of, Buddhas and various things. And I thought, that's not quite what I want. Then I picked up a knick-knack of just a Western sort of style knick-knack, and I thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder what would happen if I painted slanted eyes on him and maybe made his skin yellow. And then I've had a couple of people say, but you need to paint their hair black. And I said, but it's not a representation. It's not about having black hair. This is just my little window of what I want to deal with in terms of images that I grew up with. I can't make images for everyone to understand because this is only my experience. It's connecting just to who I am, and it doesn't have to be one or the other. I don't have to be Chinese, I don't have to be Canadian. I just have to be, these are my experiences and this is what I create out of it. When you're just so busy with your life, you're not thinking about anything, right? You're just doing. And I think at this time, without having that stress of the work, and that's a little bit behind me right now, is that I have the time to process everything that I've experienced and what do I want to take from that going forward. Sometimes I wish I was as free as the first time I did it, where I wasn't really thinking about it, and I just knew that something was bubbling and I was just trying it, and I wasn't so nervous about what the outcome was. And now every time I think about it, because there's two pieces that I've been looking at, the working title is Yellow Peril right now, and because I always think of the title first, I'm just stuck on it. I've started it 100 times, not 100 times, but I think, no, this is too one note. This is not where I'm going. This is too cartoony. So I've erased it, I've washed it off, and I've done that. So then I'm starting to think, am I holding myself back from overthinking about what I'm doing? And then I have 2 other plates that I haven't started yet because I keep on staring at them. And I have this idea and I go, no, it's not good enough, no. So I think I'm doing that by worrying what it's supposed to be now.
In order to create inclusive environment, art serves that purposes, creating ambiguous space.
I like what you say about ambiguous space because I think that any piece of art that I've looked at or has resonated with me is because it stirred something in me that I wasn't quite sure what it was. There was no right or wrong with it. It just had a feeling. I want there to be some humor in it too.
Yes.
And I want it to be, I don't want it to be a lecture. I want it to be, well, of course, thought-provoking, but yeah, I just want it to be something that you just do a double take. What did I just see? Or what is this saying? What am I thinking when I saw this? And then maybe go from there. And then you can start dressing. Yeah.
Do you have any blankets for the rocks?
Gee, I thought I had more pieces, but this is it.
Can we put the decoration
Yeah,
somewhere?
you can move it there. Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
Like this.
Are you the speaker tonight?
I am.
Well, that's good. I didn't get a blurb.
You didn't get a blurb?
But that's okay. But the topic is?
It is about finding my own stories to tell, really. I think. What do I call it? Knickknacks.
Knickknacks.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Found objects.
Yeah.
Well, not found objects. They're little knickknacks that you can get at a secondhand store. And I reimagine them into something else. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
But good evening, everyone. Welcome to the number 159 salon. So it's great to see all your familiar faces and new faces tonight. I really believe the energy of this salon comes alive with this amazing mix of people. So I'm very excited and honored to introduce Eunice to you all. Eunice is a retired TV producer.
TV director,
who I met back in February during the SFU continuing study course that I taught.
You taught?
Yes, and tonight it's a big deal for two reasons. First of all, it is Eunice's very first time talking about and showcasing her work in public. And
Don't look at me.
and let me tell you, that takes really serious guts. And we are all witnessing her journey as an emerging artist. Secondly, I won't spoil the surprises, but Eunice's work made me question who I am on a deeper level. It's not about what we are, but who we are. It's really thought-provoking topics tonight. I didn't anticipate. So after her presentation, I'm counting on all of you to bring the heat during the lively discussions. Eunice, it's your time to shine, so take it away. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Your time to shine. And, thank you, Eunice.
Oh, well, thank you, Keiko. I'm really honored to be here, and I want to thank everyone for coming out. It's a hot, sunny day, and I really appreciate you being here tonight. I have some notes just because I am a little bit nervous, and so it's nice for me to have this little prop. So I went to Value Village, and I started looking around. I was looking for some inspiration, and I found this plate. So this is English colonial plate, horsemen, upper class, riding on their thoroughbreds in the countryside. And I just started doodling on it with my marker pens. And I thought, well, the coolie hat and the queue, you know, the pigtail. And these are not negative images to me. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather, came here with a pigtail. And he used to work on a ship as a cook, and he used to stand there like this every time he cooked because he was so used to swaying at sea. The coolie hat is not negative to me. My mother used to wear it when she gardened and squatted in her front yard weeding. So these are not images to me that I feel like I should be ashamed of. I feel like they should be celebrated. Because we always see these Asian images as either the wise men or woman in the silk robes. And you never see them in just everyday environments. And I never saw these images growing up. I never saw any positive people on screens or on magazines or anywhere as a reference. If I'm telling a story, what story am I going to tell? And I guess the story has to be me and my experience. And that's hard because you know, to tell a good story, there has to be some conflict, there has to be some struggle. And I think I've gone a little past my struggle now because my struggle was probably most of my years when I was denying that I had this side to me or not proud of it or ashamed of some negative cultural stereotypes about my ethnicity. So another line from my artist statement was when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of inclusivity. It was ethnicity. If there's any comments or anything along the way, I would love to hear it.
I had a comment a few minutes ago.
Okay.
I hope you won't be offended by this, but I think you're a revolutionary. You're bringing these things together. It's outstanding. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
And you could teach a course and invite other ethnicities to do maybe whatever they wish.
That's actually a very interesting idea.
Because I'm thinking as a gay person,
yes.
I'm so tired of seeing heterosexual couples everywhere.
I also realize that shame comes down from generations too. Like if my parents didn't talk about it, it wasn't because they didn't want us to know. Maybe they felt ashamed or embarrassed that they had no power about certain things. I think my journey continues because this is a start of it, and being here and talking about it has been very difficult for me to put together. And originally when I came in and Keiko had the camera right there, I think when we first started our continuing studies meetings, I always thought, no, I always preferred being behind camera because I didn't ever want to prove or didn't know what I was saying was real. If it was sincere and if I wanted what I was thinking to be out there, it'd just be easier to, you know, be in the background and not have to worry about that. So to actually tell my story now, the start of my story opens up other thoughts in my head about what this really means on a deeper level. I used to deflect a lot of things with humor and sarcasm. Maybe it's just maturity with age, but it's just coming to understand what I want to present and tell of myself to other people and share with other people. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much.
I fully want to embrace my creative side and feel that I have stories to tell, I have conversations to create, and I'm confident that I don't know.
Picture this. They stand tall, resembling mature wild grass in a vast field, gracefully swaying in the wind, waiting for the perfect moment. At first glance, they may appear bare or even decaying, but their actions catch the mind. If it is hidden, it is the flower. In blooming, timing is important, even though our petals may soon fall.
Here goes. I'll be very candid about this. I've now been cancer-free for about 5.5 years. And I was first diagnosed about 6.5 years ago. And at one point, it was stage 4. It had metastasized. So the doctors were not too optimistic. If it was going to return, typically it would return very quickly. So it's pretty certain that that is in the past. For all the challenges that entailed, it didn't take too long for me to realize this is a really good thing. And you can hear the emotion in my voice. I know on the one hand, that sounds a little bit wacky. How can getting cancer be a good thing? I called it my best thing. Why? Because it woke me up.
I didn't do this years ago. I think it's kind of like the perfect storm of timing, of really questioning my identity. I think having lost my dad a couple of years ago really brought that forward, you know? You don't have anyone to ask any more of these questions, or someone that tells you where you are in this world.
If I had known how happy I would be today, I would have not waited so long to have that midlife rebirth. You know, I would have taken more risks, and I would have gone for the creative path earlier rather than the safe path and the common sense path. And because the one thing I feel that is kind of the best work of art, such as it is, that I would have done is the happy me, the me I am today. I'm having so much fun, and I'm trying to get to a point where I'm literally just treasuring every single day for its uniqueness. And we know who we are, and I think if we're very, very fortunate in life, we can come back to that and give that person full expression.
Maybe I'll take this out of the way, unless someone wants it.
As nature directs the tempo, the eyes of the grass flowers shine.
Creativity and art, I think art, and I think we've discussed it before, can be like so much. And because I happen to be inspired by art and creativity and sharing ideas with other people, it contributes to other areas of, well, my life. So I can't help but think it affects other people's life. I guess I'm gonna bring it back to like the art thing. Some people are more interested in art stuff, but I just think it's such a huge benefit to society.
Look deeper. The roots remain, and the buds appear once more.
I get naturally inspired by, well, stuff. And I've got this black paper, and I thought, well, why don't I like create something, and then actually when you open it, there are hidden flowers in there.
Now a question still remains. What brought this group together?
Personally, I want to be part of a multicultural community. And that's the richness of our culture here, is that we have people from so many different backgrounds. There are people that I would normally not have gone out and said, oh, I want to be friends with that person. But once you get to know people, even they come from very different backgrounds, very different interests in terms of art, very interests in terms of the course. You can relate to people. So the group has been very useful that way in terms of connecting people who wouldn't normally find a connection. You know.
And we are looking forward to the next phase of this. Yeah.
Thank you, Keiko, also for inspiring this from that conversation that we had. And then Allison is one of the classmates, and so is Keiko. I call it like fairy dust. Gold dust hit that classroom, and we continue to meet every last Thursday of each month just to talk and support each other. Yeah. And the thing is that we are always evolving, so where we end up is going to evolve too. I think that we all have to have our own little base, and it's hard to find. I think it's talking to people until you find that group that works for you. You never know until you talk to someone.
But why bloom? But why flower?
This is, by the way, with co-learning with youth. Develop to a person where people want to be near you, where they feel at ease, where they feel secure. And everybody can do this. This is my conviction. I'm only trying to be the best version of myself, but also to encourage old and young people, does not matter, yeah? To be that kind of person in your own community, in your own partnership, with your siblings, yeah? To do small things until up to the end that have a benefit for the next generation, beyond myself.
My wish would be that all of us, younger generations and older generations, that we can work together towards our common goal, which is to save this planet and to be able to live here for the future.
Help a younger generation coming up recognize that however they choose to express themselves is awesome. I think if I want to look at it individually of a younger person or a younger generation, don't feel isolated. And as I say, I think that's a theme I'm coming up with again. Don't feel isolated, don't feel like they're alone. That they can find ways of connecting with others somehow, because art is such a huge topic, and if they can find anything that is even that related, whatever means to them, whether it's a rock on the beach that they pick up and find that all of a sudden gives them meaning, that they don't feel like they're alone if they can't connect with other people, and help to people to recognize that and feel that and contribute then themselves to other people, then it's kind of like a ripple effect, I guess.
As wild grasses move in concert, so do we cohere and harmonize, transferring wisdom between generations.
For me, nature is the most important, you know. If you do something against nature, that's when the problem is caused. I feel like a karma. The world is suffering karma because you do something and it comes back to you, you know. Nature has is a purposeful nature to be. So why we have to change it? Every time you change the nature of things, something happens. My mom, she loves garden. She used to have beautiful flowers.
Like if you're a flower, what the flower you be?
I don't know, something soft and no bright color. It's a plant called Hoya. I say, oh my goodness, how perfect is this? The nature is so perfect.
The wilting of the flower may surpass the flower itself. This very Japanese aesthetic arises from the fleeting nature of all things. A wilting flower in nature reminds us of how its beauty is enhanced by impermanence. Zeami's teachings illuminate the ways that the most beautiful aspects of ourselves often lie concealed by our suffering, waiting to blossom when we transcend it. There is hope growing in our group, and maybe hope for humanity.